to go, since the classroom's so full, right? We just take all those classes down to the hub and just occupy it as long as we want, right? Or until we get one out south or out west. Hurt us or help us.
I think you're talking about Goose Island, some type of outside.
It's going to be a resource hub, so they building like a resource hub, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's going to help us. That's going to help us.
To go occupy?
It's like a field trip, yeah. You know, the young man that you, what age group were you referring to?
Mine, yours, my kids, your kids. Let's just sit in there. Yeah, let's just sit in there. Hurt us or help us?
It helps us. Because, you know, you learn under the best outside environment. You know, we learned under a tree or going through the field trip. And that's what the creation of the Boy Scouts came from, which it really was. They implemented African rites and passions of boyhood to manhood passions. That's what that's all about. Learning and educating yourself by doing, you know. And the women had a count, you know what I'm saying? They teach womanhood and all that, all the spectrums of womanhood and education involved. They stripped us of our indigenous educational system. That's what we need to get back to. Study and find it quickly, you know, and this stuff we dealing with, even at the universal level here, is just kindergarten. We was, you know, you had 6-year-old professors in ancient times, straight up. Do your research, kings and all of that. Go in the Bible, you know, it's right there. They have dumbed us down and lowered our standards, you know, and let you be happy just, you know, graduating with an associate's degree when really you supposed to be cracking the atoms and genomes, you know what I'm saying?
I would be a stereotype through and through unjustly, you know, as far as NCPS disparity, as far as the part about, like I was saying, about high schools graduating, the young men don't seem, the young black brothers and Hispanic brothers don't seem to graduate as much as the Asian. And just one more, let me get it out, brothers and saying, I'm trying to say, is it unjust? Because that brother could have came enough just to do his business and not learn, right? It's possible that he did that, right?
This how deep you go. As soon as you open your eyes, you being bombarded. Not alone stepping outside and cutting on the television. But as soon as you open your eyes, and you might see a picture of a false white image of Jesus. See, you know, you want to talk the truth to me, I'm going to implement it out there. We already know. Well, the color don't matter. You need to go and study. If the color don't matter, why did it tell you in the scripture that I am God, one abroad? The color do matter. We're going to get into that. You know, you being lied to. You got to stop these lies. And so we dealing with white supremacy, racism, that from the moment you open your eyes, and you ask a child right now, they already did the dial test. They all familiar with that, right? You know, they already did the who you close your eyes and you see an angel test, who you see. It even got me for it. So, you know, that's how powerful it is. Of course it's stereotype. You stereotype yourself. So once they have lowered your status into who you are, and then told you you was a soap maker and you dragging your pants down on the ground instead of you are, we are all Jesus, God's children. You know, so you got to know your standard. John chapter 10, verse 34 tells you who you are. I ain't tied into the religious thing that you can't escape God, because in our universities, that's what we was teaching. We was teaching to imitate the behavior of the Creator. And reading, writing, and arithmetic was just, that's why I say it was nothing. That's why they were able to build a structure. True name is called the Kutsi Moore, by the way, House of God, aka the pyramids. Boom, and line it up with the dog star Cyrus on the dime, you know what I'm saying? That's how they was able to do that. Then they tricked you and told you the Greeks invented math. Come on, man. Stop this.
You can't get back to CPS.
But when you break it all down,
look, one more. To the comment. I was, man, I hate that. Anyway, all right, you was talking about the, my professor is from Ghana. He told me, I was asking him about, we were talking about CPS disparities, and he was talking about over in his culture in Ghana. They, you know, it's like a big thing to do. Like the parents, they got like a line. You know what I'm saying? You can't break that line. They got them, they walking them to school, they protected, surrounded by the village or community. We went to the same passage and hired individuals with yellow jackets to watch ours, as opposed to actually having an escort for them. Even like, you know, kids their age, those young ladies, little kids' age. in getting back to what my professor said they do in Ghana, as far as the whole village walk with kids to school, you better not touch them, look at them, talk to them. We as parents, surely we don't have enough time all the time to just barricade the kids and make sure they get in there and get out right. But I'm saying, we should be able to develop some kind of, besides the guy with the green. I mean, it could be 10 of them walking the kids to school, right? I mean, that would be, to me, that would be better than just out there, you got that corner, he got that corner. It's more personal to me. And I'd like to know how it feels to y'all.
I didn't want to say, look, man, again, you done touched on it again. Let's be clear. They don't want us to stop the chaos in our community. We got to come to that understand. It's brothers, Mr. Farrakhan, and you know what I'm saying, Nation of Islam, have went to them and like, listen, let us police our own. I got brothers right now, strong black men that can stand out on the street. They're like, no, that's vigilantism. You see what I'm saying? Because they want, you got to understand, they not trying to stop crime. Systems analysis again, everything you see going on in our community, and I was a victim to it. When I was in my thing, I thought I was a hell of, excuse my name, a hell of a gangster. I said, man, I think it's like a light bulb click. I said, I'm a fool. I'm being you, and you got so many brothers committing black on black crime, and rape is one of them, and all of that. You need to be ran out the community. And you got brothers ready to do this, and we're going to have to do that too. That's another thing. We're going to have to take back and police our own communities, you know what I'm saying? Unquestioned. We got to get ready for that.
And educate.
They don't want that. That's the whole thing. You know, the mother shouldn't even have to be doing. The men need to go in here and watch the police come through. Wait, what are you doing? Because it's all about the dollars. Once you stop the crime in the community, guess what's going to happen? Tax base finna, you know what I'm saying? The community's finna regentrify themselves, you see what I'm saying? Businesses finna come in, it's all, that's why they allow these fools to continue to do what they're doing in our community. And we got to start this over with. It's been one. And it's gonna happen because God is gonna force us to make it happen. They're gonna manufacture collapse of the economy. We stand on CPS. You know what I'm saying? It's all connected. Manufacturing collapse of the economy, and it's going to be economic cannibalism. We already seeing the beginning phase of it because most of these so-called gangsters, cowards, they're not going to go over there. They're going to rob grandma and auntie, and that's got to be over with. Mm-hmm. Got to be over with, and we're going to be forced to clean it up anyway. Mm-hmm.
All right. Ms. Betty, can I ask you a question? Quick question. As far as the teachers, out west and on the south side, I know you said I'd rather know CPS than Catholic. What would you, because I heard you say the teachers were actually just A, B, C, you know, giving answers. What would you implement? What would you implement to curb or inspire teachers to be more up close and personal with each and every student?
Great question.
Thank you.
I think all teachers should have time set aside. I remember when we used to have the program, Drop Everything and Read. Mm-hmm. I think all teachers should have time set aside to tutor the children, especially the children who are having an extremely difficult time. It should be some time during the course of the day to pull those kids out while the rest of the children are working. They let them work and work with them very, very slow. The ones who are just not getting it, because we have to be able to get to the ones who are not getting it. That's what it was all about. When I was a young teacher back in the 70s, I said, what do we do to get to the children who are not understanding what I'm teaching? Tell me what to do. I'll do it. Yeah. I used to tell my children, I'll jump through a flame and spook you. I'll stand on my head to make you understand. But you must simplify it. What can we do to make it easy? It's taking candy from a baby to teach our babies.
Yeah, it'll seem like sometimes they just don't. That's sad about my son. He got crazy. But okay. Yeah. So the teacher. You. What about out of class?
I'm talking in class too.
No, not out of
class.
Okay.
Out of class too. Don't let that go. I mean, they can still tutor after school, but I'm saying set time, just like we had to Drop Everything and Read program. Mm-hmm. Let's do that in the classroom for our very slow children who are just not getting. One thing that I use that helped me a lot as a young teacher, I learned to put the kids together. I put them in teams. I let a fast child work with a slow child. Children can help each other. They can bring out the best in each other. And I always, that was a big help for me. I did another thing I haven't, you don't have to speak, but I've been doing this for 44 years. But I used to have kids, I taught a teacher for a day, and I would let each student be the teacher. I was right there with them, and I watched them do everything. And one little girl said, "Ooh, Miss Baby, this is hard." I said, "You think? You think?" I wanted them to see what it was like to teach. It's not an easy job, but we can do it. I used to have this little thing that I always said, we're going to get there. We'll get there from here. Because I started with them right where they were. And I had my goals set. And I said, we're going to get there right here. Because we're going to teach you like nobody's business. You don't learn under me. It's because you're going to want to learn.
Go ahead, Dr. Stan.
Man, to add to what she's saying, first of all, we got to learn how our children learn.
Right.
In other words, all
Right.
children don't learn the same way.
That's right.
And you got to have a rap contest, you know what I'm saying? So, now, straight up, because, if you take the compounds of chemistry, you know what I'm saying, the 99 elements, and put them in a rap, you're going to get some people, you know what I'm saying, that, man, know how to do that. Like, oh, you got to make it exciting for whether you might have to bring video games or what they call them prompts or aids, you know what I'm saying? But excellent is letting smart children work with another child and things of that nature. Oh, man, that's why I wanted to speak, because it came to my mind and it left. I think that'd be the Holy Spirit, these ideas. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Man, this is very controversial right here, but I would have loved to be a participant of this. They paying children, you know what I'm saying, certain schools, you know what I'm saying? Oh, why should you pay? The real world work, and you compensated, you know what I'm saying? Now, let's say that's too controversial, okay? We shouldn't pay children to learn, you know what I'm saying? But I think they're going to, if you offer somebody a carrot, because that's how we all work in the world. If you at a job, we're going to give you a bonus. I was just at my job, they were talking about, we're going to give you a bonus. I work real hard, and they can give me nothing. That's another story, right? You know what I'm saying? You put the carrot before them, hey, you want them new pair of Jordans or something like that, go get you an A or B. Because that's how I do my nephews and my son right now. Clean up, earn it right there. Or,
Brown.
hey,
I've been using it for years.
Candy, cookies, all that. Have a reward system. Now you get a star. Now you get you a trophy. Give them something to aspire to. Those are very good teachers, actually.
Yeah, true. All right. I guess we're gonna open up the floor. Professor, I'm sorry about that. It took so long.
Oh, no problem.
We're gonna open
Okay.
up the floor for the.
Okay, so I got a list of notes, but I ain't gonna say them all. I'm not gonna say them all.
You need the mic?
No. Okay, I wanted to say something about, I have on here, about the meal program. When you said, remember 800 million you said, and what would you do with that? I just wanted to make the point about the meal program that a lot of those kids don't have nothing to eat, so I wouldn't take from the meal program myself, because sometimes research has found that that's the only meal that the kids get, right? So I would take from that. Okay, the other thing about...
If I can, I just said that because I'm just thinking that that equates to $2,300 a kid.
Yeah,
as
for a whole
opposed
year?
to suburbs, which is $67 a kid. So is that top overflow that they really were asking for? It sounded like overflow they asking for when it said 800 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know.
It's okay.
Okay, let me say this too about the property taxes. Remember you said how do they receive funding for the school? And it's the property taxes. And then somebody said, well, we should change that. Well, that's an age-old argument. My doctoral work is in the field of education. And that's an age-old argument. It's been court cases and everything. They're not changing that. They've been, people have been to court in different states trying to say it shouldn't be based on property taxes, because then, of course, the impoverished neighborhood won't have adequate funding. So what they are trying to get is other ways to supplement. Like, for instance, over in Beverly, Morgan Park, you have a property tax which is already kind of high, right? Because it's a nice area. But in addition to that, the area put an extra something that we pay on the taxes for the school district over there. You can do that. But we talked about this in my doctoral program in classes. We debated it and all of that. What people said is make the other stakeholders who take money from the community, put back in it. Like the big stores and stuff. Make them contribute back to that fund.
That's
Because,
right.
yes, the stores out there and those kind of things make them give back, because the property tax thing, I'm telling you, it's been in court for years. Every few years, a new state trying, and they're not going to change that because they know the snowball effect, and everywhere will be forced, and they don't want to change that dynamic of the money. Okay, the other thing is, my question was about school board. What do you all think about an elected school board? All of them, everybody.
Oh, elected school?
Elected school board, and that's my question. What do you think about elected? I can't say that tonight.
It's okay.
Elected school board.
Elected school board.
And then the second question answered too is, what are you willing to do to change education?
Well,
What
I can answer
each
right
person-
now.
Okay.
I'm willing to homeschool my own kids. I wish I had like 10 people with me. You know,
How
'cause
that's gonna change the system for the next person?
I'm taking money out their pocket, like the brother said earlier. They understand when they losing money. So if I had like 10 more people with me, or 100, and we just didn't send our kids to school, I know we're gonna be tired. I know some people don't want to be around them all day like that. But just to get that education, I mean, it feel like I'm doing it myself right now. Like I said, they come home, no books, but I gotta figure it out and make sure they get it right. So it feel like I'm doing it right now, and that would be my solution. But I'm just one guy.
But
Please.
you shouldn't have to.
Right,
Child.
right.
Every child deserves the very best education, the
Right.
very best. We need to work together and stop sitting on our derrieres and twiddling our thumbs and do something.
Yeah.
Work together. We have to be united. If we do that, you shouldn't have to.
So will the elected boards be an answer? I just want, if I get clarification on elected boards, that's not the board that
We don't have one, but that's
Oh.
what people are calling for, and Ron Emanuel just chopped it down and said, no, we're not getting one, but activists
well,
are
then we know it's
saying we need a
good, 'cause-
school board.
You don't want it.
It's appointed. They appoint the board presidents, and that's what she's speaking on, the appointment. Like Arnie Duncan, he was in there for years, he was appointed. All these individuals appointed. And they don't hold any accountability but to one person, and that's the
Right.
person who appointed.
The mayor.
Just like the police chief, they appointed positions. So when they come in there, long they don't care what McCarthy, they don't care what the society's saying. Long as, you know what I mean, the mayor
Right.
is backing them, that's the only person can find. But then when they're accountable to the community, it's a difference. So that's the significance and the logistics of having an elected school. You know what I mean, as opposed to appointed. That appointed system is outdated, especially when it comes to our communities.
But it's a
Sister Harris said something, you know, that I really want to address right here, and it's a mind state. And no pun intended. I understand where you're coming from. And they're not going to allow that. They're not going to do. See, as long as we go for that. See, this is the key right here. It said it gave you a key in the mystery book called the Bible. It told you wherever there are two or more gathered in agreement, there I am in the mystery. That's the power of unity. Once you come to them and demand, we ask you to do nothing, change this here, or we finna get you up out of it. We know it ain't working. You see what I'm saying? That's the vein I come. Once I see something that's a lie, I'm gonna tell you it's a lie. It ain't working.
Right.
This is what we want to do. We want elected school officials, you know what I'm saying? And we want all them stores in our community, and we want to change the tax system and all that. You don't do it, and we know this why you ain't doing it, because it's racist and you don't want to even playing field. So until you ready to even come to me and address that, I don't want to hear nothing what you talking about. Mayor Ron Emanuel and all of every year they coming in talking about they for the children. Because ever since way back, go back farther than that, the New Deal and the war on poverty and all that, they know language. They always, it's just like a pimp. You know, I ain't gonna go to the other. A pimp will tell you something razzle dazzle. But in the end, action, you know what I'm saying, you getting played. You know, they're telling you something fantastic. That's what they're doing. They know the power of work, but the end Renaissance 2012, you know, it sounds spectacular. You're like, oh, Renaissance, a new birth. You know,
No, it's all the same stuff.
Right, but it's some crap.
Race to the top.
It's straight up garbage, because let's go back to the premise. People who enslaved you, not properly, want to educate you.
That's right.
They educate you properly, you know what I'm saying? Now, I might not be saying it right, but the laws of physics, you know what I'm saying? Two masses can't occupy the same space at the same time. They know that. You know, and they know equal playing field, we gonna do this. They say, you gotta understand that. They know what we gonna do, because they know what we did in the past. The description of heaven come from Africa. That it really was gold streets and, you know what I'm saying, lighted venues. I mean, it's just beautiful. You know, man, they got pictures of it.
It's just like it's just like a great black mayor said, Harold Washington, the same old dude. And until we do something about it, unite, it's gonna always be the same old dude.
One last thing, I'll be remorse if I didn't say this right here. You got a distinguished gentleman by the name of Cedric Smith in the back, who's a representative of Lance Farm in partnership with the Tribune. They're having a back to Christmas drive for school coats and toys for the children. So he's giving away, you know, I think he's giving away some gift cards and things of that nature. If you all want to, you know, donate a portion, and if you haven't got a subscription or anything like that, but go back there and check him out. He came also when I told him it was about children education, you know, to, you know, also see if you guys want to help the children out for the Christmas fundraiser. I just wanted to say that when you get a chance.
And just a second, that is again, that's Cedric Smith, Brother Cedric Smith in the back. Charity from Lance Farm Foundation with the Chicago Tribune. Gift cards in the back. Everybody like gift cards. I do too. All right, question back here, I'm sorry.
Well, this was not so much a question, but a statement. As I was looking up information for this topic, I noticed it said like children in our community and Hispanic community, they do horribly on these tests and all of that. My thing is, if you all know as teachers what these tests are like, don't play with these kids. Tell them this is what it is, this is what we have to do. You doing extra stuff, like bribing them and all of that. The real world is not going to do that for them. I think we need to, you give them the information, send some of that information home with the parents, let those that will help them, but we have to prepare them too. We can't just sugarcoat things for them either.
Well, I know in the graduate program they have something called spotters, where they'll go and take the test. They'll go and take the test first, and then come back and relate it.
Right, because these tests are not set up for them. There's language barriers, socioeconomic barriers that these kids don't know anything about. So you send people, see what they're putting on these tests, so you can help your own. They already have a advantage. So that's what we come to teach ours. But you don't give these kids this information, get them the answer. That's not helping them.
Do we know how privy the teachers are before they even get the material, the tests? We don't know how much time they have before. I mean, I guess they would have to send the spotters, like we were saying.
No, you don't get a test, but you get a core curriculum for each grade level, so you know what you're supposed to cover that grade level. Then supposedly the test is built around those things.
Brother Antoine.
I know it's more of a statement than a question or comment. Throughout history, and you know, education has always been around. You've always had people who the upper echelon or the leaders were educated, and the poor people weren't. And it's been like that throughout the entire history of the world, where you've had rich people who have, and poor people that don't have not. And when it comes down to the have-nots, education would change that. So why would the people up in power allow the people at the bottom to be educated? So I know the brother right there said that they would fight tooth and nail to keep things from changing. They might even just start a war to keep things from changing, because they can do that. You know what I'm saying? And when you dealing with something that's so powerful and something so big, and you're trying to fight against that, it's like trying to, you know, I guess you fight against the wind. It takes all of us to come together to make a change. But what do you do when they see that change is imminent? What they'll do is they'll let some of us in so that we're pacified and weaken the power of the whole movement.
So we need to keep the integrity when they let us in, right?
That's a true statement. Let me interject something, and it's going to be, you know, all over the place for a minute. I got a few things I want to touch on and the relevance. Sister spoke on, and Brother Sultan, he followed up on it about them not changing, you know, the property tax system and all that. I want to bring a couple of things to the forefront. Plessy versus Ferguson. Because I'm versed in the litigation field. Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus the Board of Education.
Right.
Those two cases, y'all will make a note of them and look up, it educates you within itself about separate but equal.
Right.
And then the desegregation of the schools. See, these things here held great significance, historical significance. Thurgood Marshall, you know, the only that I consider black Supreme Court justice that we ever had, that I consider. You know what I mean? I would say, because anytime, you know, that brother was in the NAACP fighting for that litigation, and then you had an Uncle Tom, some people defend that term, come in and go against all of those things. He voted against all of those things, and I had a problem with that, you know, with Clarence Thomas. You know, I had a big problem with that.
Yeah.
And I studied a lot of his decisions and seen him, you know, just slash a lot of our accomplishments. Go, you know, I mean, totally against everything. And you know what bothered me most was the hypocrisy that this individual here was talking about, you know what I mean, the doggone, the system, you know, that they had, you know, with,
Right.
help me out with this system. You know,
Affirmative action.
affirmative action, there we go, now I'm back on track. How do you climb up a ladder, get up to the top, and then pull the ladder and say it's wrong to climb up that ladder? See, he voted against things that helps him, and I had a problem with it. You know, and he had another guy up on him, Armstrong somebody. That was his, you know, he was another, he was a commentator.
Armstrong Williams.
Armstrong Williams. I used to watch him, you know what I mean, with Black, they had some show and he was out of his mind. But this is what happens, you know, to us.
Yeah.
And the brother, Antoine that spoke right here, we got a real distinguished film, you know, director here, you know, that's an actor also, and it's really, you know what I mean, involved. He's a executive trainer at 5 Links presently. So, you know, we have some people here with prestige. We have a lot of talent within our own communities, but we don't utilize it because we're always looking to be validated by somebody outside. When they invite you, you know, when they invite you to play golf with them, now you made it. You know what I mean? When they invite you to their banquet, you feel important. What about validating ourselves? That's right. What about coming in ourselves and take Darwin's theory of evolution and hand it back to them? You know, because we always land up here, you know, looking for them to, you know, when they crown you, now you're a rat.
Right.
You know, and that's a problem with us. And we need to get away from that. What the brother said, I was speaking with Antoine earlier, telephonically, and we were talking about pulling our children out of the school system. And it just shows you how truth confirms itself, because we spoke on encyclopedias, how they used to come door to door and used to buy for your kids. You know, and all of these things. And then encyclopedias were spoken upon. So truth confirms itself, and I think that what the brother said about pulling the children out of the classroom is not a bad thing within itself, because if you study history about the Montgomery bus boycott, when we stopped riding the buses for a whole year and walking, that changed that system. When Rosa Parks was tired and she didn't get up. So sometimes you gotta protest. That's why Karen Lewis, she's a phenomenal woman in my eyes. People tried to demonize her and say, well, look, you not letting kids come to school, but what about the teachers that go back to the economics again? They not survived. She had the children's best interests in heart. She was just going about it the way that she knew how. And we want to say, oh, but that's wrong. The teachers should come to school because you're neglecting the kids. But if they're not going to get the quality education they deserve, then why even do it? If you're not going to fix it right, don't fix it at all. You know, do it right. And I'm a strong, you know, advocate of that. You know, and I feel like one last thing I want to propose, and that's this here. If maybe we can get a website started or something under this title, CPS disparities, and just take it from here and start monitoring this. Just move something forward in that regard. Because I think that this right here can be a springboard. I think it can be a springboard to something great if we utilize it right here. Because I feel like there's some good energy in here. I think that people are very receptive. Nobody's feeling asleep. People, and we're not drawing off of the number. People seem involved. There's a lot of respect. Even when we disagreed here, it wasn't an argument. We agreed to disagree. We really building upon each other's thoughts. That's positive, and we can take this and this can spread. I feel.
Let me add that. Oh, can I answer? Okay. Let me add something. That you know, the whole homeschooling thing, I think it's a good idea too for some people, if the people are qualified to homeschool, right? But what I know is that this is the first generation, really, that has left schooling and education up to the school system. Like what you're saying you do at home, that's what my mother did. That's what her mother did. That's what black people have traditionally did when they noticed their children are in the public education system. They taught, it's like you get a lesson at school, then you come home and get the other lesson at home. But that's what people did. This generation is the first generation that believes it's left to the teachers. Like, the teacher ain't teaching my child. If you had deficiencies, your people in your neighborhood, your family feel those deficiencies. We didn't expect the school to do it. This is the first and that's why kids are failing. Because this is the first generation that has left it out. So that cultural grounding that you normally would get at home, to deconstruct the lies, like you said in the school, you would get a cultural grounding at home that tells you the story differently and say, that didn't happen, here's what happened, you know, or whatever, help you understand. The cultural grounding is gone because now you have all this disconnected curriculum that kids can't relate to, so they disengage. That's what happens.
Just real quick, just a statement. I'm a sociology major, so I come at everything from a sociology standpoint. And I also work in early childhood education as a family service worker.
Ask the question.
I'm like him. I'm like this brother right here, but I got so much to just go on. But I'm just real quick. First of all, what Professor Harris was saying is right. The dynamics of our families are broken down. So this generation really can't even really focus on their child's homework because a lot of them aren't really a family. They're going home to grandmama raising 5 or 6 of her grandkids that she never even seen, from her daughter just running the streets, daddy locked up, all their daddies locked up. I'm a family service worker, so I see it on a daily basis in early childhood. And so the dynamics of the families are broken up. But I will say this is the solution. I have noted, I went to the National Black Child Development Institute conference about 2 weeks ago. And we have, at my school I work with, we have an African-centered curriculum for the children. And there's also an African-centered school called Kwame and Nkrumah that Trinity Church has under its umbrella. And my friend sent one of her kids went to the neoclassical school, Poe. She's very smart. Her daughter went to the African-centered school. The African-centered school brought out the best in her daughter. Her daughter, the first day she was there, I mean, they beating the drums and the circle in the morning. They getting a self-awareness of self. She had it in the preschool where we work, because we do it. And then when she got to the grammar school, this heightened self-awareness of her Africanness is just heightened, and it's great. Her mom had to transfer because they moved to the suburbs, and she said next year she's gonna put both her kids, whatever it takes, to put them back in that school. I've heard other people say the same thing. I took my child there, and because of me and her mom having problems, and now that I wish the child would go back.